It's time to go platinum again. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we're reviewing and documenting the SG Platinum. We just talked about the Les Paul Platinum, and I told you in a couple of months when you've forgotten about it, we'll review this one. So this was a limited edition series that was first birthed for the year 2003, and they lasted until about 2005. Now these are pretty interesting guitars because it doesn't look like your normal SG of the era. It's got the silver faceplate, it has a cool mirrored pickguard that's 68 in style, we've got unique gray bobbin platinum pickups that are uncovered on the SGs, and our pretty cool platinum hardware. You'll also notice the unmarked ebony fretboard. And on top of all that, this is a satin finish. Now these specs is what was called an SG special at the time. No, we're not talking like vintage original SG specials. Look-wise, they're very similar to an SG tribute of today's offerings. You're also downgraded to the silkscreen Gibson logo instead of pearl. However, the SG Platinum, like its Les Paul brother, had other color options. You could also find it in gloss sunset orange and gloss ebony. So no, it's not like the Les Paul Platinum that also had the gloss sapphire. But if you opted to have the gloss version, you lost the fancy case, and strangely enough, they put inlays on the fretboard instead of leaving it plain. And also, you don't get the matching headstock. Can you make the argument for ebony that ebony is ebony? Yeah, but it's not necessarily a spec. Brand new, these had a street price of approximately $1,059, which is a price we could only dream of for a limited edition Gibson that's highly spec'd out, has an ebony fretboard, and comes with a super special limited edition awesome case. That's one of the coolest things about the Platinum series. It's very popular for people to hold back the case for a different guitar when they sell one of these on. So due to all the unique features, typically collectors prefer the actual Platinum ones despite being satin finishes, because they have the more unique specs out of the offerings. But hey, you can also have a complete set if that's what you're really going for. But these are fantastic guitars. I really love this studio. It rocks hard, and most of these show up in pretty poor condition because they're just so playable. The SG Platinum actually has different pickups. Not only are they colored differently, this is the 490R 490T set, whereas the Les Paul is the 490R neck 498T, and they're covered, so they would have a different tone anyway. Now, as far as case candy, it doesn't look like these things came with anything too special. Just your truss rod tool and a pre-packed checklist, as well as information about your combo lock on the case. It took me a while to find a nice set to document. So this one still has the plastic over the pickguard. That's cool if you're a collector, but I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's perfect. But let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs before we get to a playing sample of this one. Inside the SG Platinum, here's what it looks like if you take your pickguard off. It is simply routed for 2 humbuckers, not a full swimming pool route. But you can tell, yeah, it's not the best route job. It's definitely got splinters everywhere. Could have been cleaned up much nicer. But you gotta remember, these were relatively cheap guitars. Here you can see the neck tenon going into the body, as well as in this area, and I found it strange, there's black dots right beside some of these screw holes. There's another case of that over here. Did they mess things up? Did they have to fill it? No, it just kind of looks like a black splotch of paint. Now for the pickguard itself, it has that brushed aluminum vibe to it, so if I were to remove the plastic film, you can actually see like vertical scratches on it. That's part of the whole effect. And here's our gray bobbin pickups. As far as I'm aware, this is the only model that used the gray bobbins. If you ever find these for sale separately, it came out of one of these. Here's what those look like on the back. Just has a Gibson USA base plate, and it has black tape around the edges. And I would say it has more than usual because the bridge pickup has to stand pretty tall on the SGs, and since it's uncovered, if you get really picking hard, you might actually break your windings and destroy your pickup. In our circuit, the bridge reads 7.96 k ohms, neck position 7.74, and the middle position 3.92, so that's the 490R 490T set. Here's a look at our bridge. It's got the platinum plating all over it, has the PW branding right there. Just like on the Les Paul Platinum, the tailpiece only has the platinum on the top and edges. The back is still shiny chrome. I just find that funny, but that is stock and original. Our knobs are also platinum. That is a unique feature to this model. Otherwise, they're just like the golden bonnet styles. And the switch tip is also a metal material. The thing with these being satin finishes, if you play them at all, they're going to buff up into a gloss. You can kind of see that has occurred right here on the edge. A little bit shinier there. However, the satin finish for the most part elsewhere has been kept intact. I'm not going to say this is a mint condition example, but it pulls off the vibes of new old stock, right? Now moving on from our mahogany body, we've got the mahogany neck with the ebony fretboard. It's always worth polishing the frets of one of these platinum guitars. It just makes them look so much better. This whole board, I mean, look back when we unboxed it, it was pretty gnarly. Conditioning and polishing did it wonders. I didn't really see any fret wear. You see that line that runs along the fretboard? That's where the board actually ends and the neck begins. So that's just a seam line showing. Unfortunately, that is very common on this model. And here's what it looks like on the treble side. I would say it's a little bit worse on the bass side, unfortunately. That's the side that you normally see. You can also see where the nut truly ends as well. The only time you really have to worry about that is if it's really jagged and it goes not straight. For example, if it goes this way, yeah, usually that's trauma induced. It has 22 frets with a 24 3/4 inch scale length and 12-inch fretboard radius with a nut width of 1.7 inches. That increases to 2.1 by the 12th. First fret neck depth 0.87 and 1.01 by the 12th. Here's that neck profile at the first fret and the 12th fret. These were advertised as 50s necks, but you gotta remember that's Gibson USA 50s, so it's got a nice roundedness to it, but it's not as big as like an R7 baseball bat. Looking at our headstock, it actually has some finish checking. Depends on the lighting situation that you have it in. Not as apparent because it's not a full-on gloss finish. Our tuners also have the platinum coating. And we have a shiny brushed platinum truss rod cover. That's just a shiny plastic material on the back. Moving on to the back, things are pretty clean here. Didn't notice any scratches or gouges for the most part, except right down here by our strap button, a strap must have lightly marred it. You can hardly even feel that. Here's what our pickup cavity looks like. Got our Gibson branded pots. Everything looks stock untouched to me in this one. But like we were talking about earlier, look at this. That's just shameful. Those are just wood splinters from not cleaning up the side of the cavity. The back plate is also that brushed aluminum looking material, however the back of this is just regular black, so it's just a small topper layer. This also has the plastic over top of it. We can see a small seam line right here, so it looks like this will be a 3-piece body underneath our silver platinum finish. No breaks, cracks, or repairs on this one. Moving on to the neck, somebody definitely played this thing. The whole neck has been glossed over. Compare it to here, to the flat back of the headstock. It only takes a little bit of playing to convert it to gloss. Here's the backside of our Platinum Grover tuners and our serial number, making this a last year production model of 2005, 101st day of the year, 471st in production, Nashville made. And yep, we've got a small finish breaking ding up here at the top of the headstock too. All said and done, this one weighs 7 pounds, 3.5 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how the SG Platinum sounds. First question, is it neck heavy? A little bit. This particular one with this strap stays for the most part, but if you nudge it, it will fall a tad. But what I'm noticing is this is a really nice, big, chunky, rounded neck. I like that. And the whole thing vibrates with a chord. Like you feel it against your body, so this is looking pretty promising so far. this wasn't going to live up to the reputation of that Les Paul Platinum that we reviewed, but if anything, it might even be more fun. Mainly because it's lighter in weight, it's not as bad on your back. The SG shape, it kind of works for this whole silver platinum vibe. Let's clean things up a little bit though. I'm really impressed by the way it actually cleans up. But you gotta watch how heavy you pick, because it will get dirty on you. So there you go, we've documented all of the original Platinum guitars. Maybe we'll check out one of the other finishes another day, but I think you guys know why these things are always showing up in beaten, really heavily played condition, because they're just fantastic. Polish your frets up and it matches the vibe of the guitar. I'm a big fan of the Platinum series, and these things really are not all that expensive if you get a player's grade one, so I would highly suggest checking one of these things out. And if you can get the original Platinum case with it, that's awesome. However, if you're just looking for a player, don't necessarily stick your nose up in the air just because one is missing it. I wasn't expecting to love this one too. I thought that Les Paul was like a special thing, but maybe it's just everything that they're a part of, because I used to usually stick my nose up at 490T pickups, because you don't find them too often. This one actually had some pretty decent clarity to it. Maybe not quite as biting as a 498T. I mean, that one's twice as hot, so it makes sense. But this one's like almost touching the strings, so I think that kind of helps make up for it. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoy your new guitar knowledge. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.